恨みは決して晴れ。
許さねえぜ。てめえももちゃん殴ったな。そうかいじゃの。
強くなりたい。
What led to all of this? Let's find out. After the greatest opening sequence ever devised, we see a girl being pressured by some jerk-off into going to a love motel. She isn't going to take this, so she sighs, drops her bag, and delivers one hell of a roundhouse kick towards her ex. This is Momo Ayase. The kick meets its target, but it isn't strong enough to send him flying, and as a consequence, he overpowers her and delivers a kick back, sending her flying instead. She's left on the floor as he walks away while she shouts a flurry of food-related insults at him before cutting back to her in class later that day. She's devastated, naturally, at being broken up with, which isn't unusual for a teenage girl, as her friends scold her and ask why she was dating him in the first place. After all, he was a jerk, which we just got to see. A question to which this girl, Momo, responds by telling her friends that she liked him because he looked like Ken Takakura, a renowned Japanese actor and celebrity. Momo's embarrassed by her seemingly naive, childish crush and exclaims that there's nothing wrong with liking hard-boiled tough guys like Ken Takakura, to which her friends, Miko and Muko, roll their eyes at, telling her that men like him are extinct. As Momo wanders the hall, depressed at the notion that her boyfriend broke up with her, wondering if she'll ever meet her perfect Ken, we're left to wonder precisely the type of girl that Momo is. Her interest seems squarely focused on just finding this ideal boyfriend, even one that may not be good for her. And this seems quite superficial, at least at first. As she drags herself down the corridor, she peers into another class as kids laugh. A pretty nerdy kid sits alone at the back of the class reading his magazines while bullies insult and throw things at him. Momo sees this, and as they're about to launch a hefty magnet at him, she sits at his desk between him and the bullies. Her stare is focused, confrontational, and intimidating, freezing them in their tracks and stopping them from bullying him further. She quickly turns to the boy and flicks through his magazine, asking him playfully what he's reading. He's too shocked to speak as she turns back to see that all the bullies are pretending to go back to their business. She stands up and walks away, lamenting the state of the world. Is the world really just full of scum? Now this is Momo, the real Momo. Momo is a searcher. She's searching for her Ken Takakura, a mission that she doesn't even fully understand. Her desire to find a Ken goes beyond just his looks, it's the whole package. In Japanese cinema, Ken Takakura embodies the ideal otaku no roman, the man's romance or Japanese hero. A man who is strong, moral, and holds fast to duty, demonstrating his love through powerful actions of righteousness, and never faltering when things are hard or overwhelming. An unshakable desire to do what's right and dutiful. This is how he demonstrates love, and can even come at the expense of love itself. Because what is love worth if you aren't ready to do your duty to protect it? An undying devotion to justice, to standing up for what is right. This is Momo's North Star, her guiding principle, guidance that she seeks out in a possible boyfriend, yes, but also a worldview that she tries to follow and enact herself. The exploitative behavior of her ex and the cruelty of these boys are not in line with the heart of the ideal man that she's looking for. Momo isn't just some stereotypical female anime character. She's powerful and stands up for what she believes in, no different than the otaku no roman that she romanticizes. She doesn't just wait for this Ken Takakura to save the day, because if he isn't there, then she'll do it herself. Stepping in front of the bullies isn't something that Momo does for gain or gratification. No, in fact, this comes at expense of Momo herself. And that isn't just because she's risking her popularity by standing up for this dork. In standing up for this guy, she reminds herself that she had to be the one to do it. Something that depresses her, and helps confirm to her that Miko and Muko were actually right. that men like Ken are extinct. When Momo walks away, asking if the world is full of scumbags she's defeated, is there truly no one who would stand up for him, so much so that she, a complete stranger, was the one who had to do it? Is her quest for a man who could be her Ken a mistake? Her desire for justice isn't superficial, and it changes people. It gives them a chance. Momo leaves the classroom and is accosted in the hall by that same bullied boy, and he knows what she's into. He approaches her because there's only one reason that a girl like Momo Ayase would ever talk to him, and that's because she's interested in the occult. Obviously. And he starts to scream in her face about all things alien. Momo's going through a lot of emotional turmoil at the moment, and now she has this weird dude shouting at her, so she naturally lashes out at him. She isn't wanting to entertain what this otaku is saying. It's tempting to just brand this kid as annoying, and to be honest, he is coming off as a bit much, but that's not why she's upset. A common trait of Momo's is that when she's overwhelmed by emotions, she tends to lash out. Because while she has this firm grasp of her external world and what she wants to see reflected in it, her internal world is much less clear and far more volatile. Inside of Momo, there is a storm, a tornado of emotions. She doesn't know who she is. She's torn between two sides of herself. The superficial side that she projects, the mask that she wears to the world to make herself seem somewhat normal, and then the weird side that lies beneath. Momo lashes out at him because he is a direct reflection of this weirdness incarnate. By talking to him, by accepting him, she would be letting this side of herself out into the world. So she lashes out at him and tells him that he shouldn't presume that they're friends, because he doesn't know her. A complete rejection of what she fears most, letting people see her stranger side. His spirit is crushed as he stands coldly and alone in the hallway. But underneath this facade, the real Momo re-emerges. She turns and recognizes what she's done. A trait of hers that I love is that she's just not scared to apologize for her actions and try to fix the damage that she's done. There's a pull in her. She walks towards him, closing the gap between them while crossing a boundary into this new relationship. Picking up his magazine, dusting it off and handing it to him, she gives him a chance. Matching his energy, Momo tells the otaku that she doesn't believe in aliens, but she does believe in ghosts. He laughs at her and sends her into a meltdown. She's furious that he had the audacity to laugh at her, considering his obsession with the occult. Being challenged in this way is enough to bring her weirder side barreling to the surface. She explodes with energy, shifting from her slumbering, slow, stationary movement into highly animated actions, complete with flailing arms and wild expressions. This contrast shows a freer side to her. She's let herself loose. Instead of proving to the world that she's normal, like she does every single day, here we see an inversion of that. She has to prove to this guy that her weird, unusual interests are just as valid as his are. Spurred on by this nerdy kid that was just a stranger mere moments ago. A guy who is, in a sense, bringing out her true form. Something that Miko and Muko immediately pick up on, because, come on guys, it's obvious that these two are just made for each other, let's face it. And so it begins. The two argue in the hallway, each trying to prove to the other that aliens or ghosts exist, agreeing to go to hotspots for their interests in a competition. This is where Momo and Okarun meet. This is where Dandadan begins. Momo goes to an abandoned hospital, an alien hotspot, and the otaku goes to an old tunnel, a hotspot for a yokai. Away from the school and the judging eyes of the world, Momo can let her guard down and open up a bit about herself. As Momo talks on the phone to the otaku boy, she tells him that she believes in spirits, even if she hasn't seen them before, all because of her grandma. Since Momo has no parents, she was brought up by her grandma, who's a spirit medium. Momo tells him that whenever she would go to school, her grandma would have her do a ritual for good luck, which would result in all the other kids making fun of her, especially the boys who would laugh at her. But she kept it up, she kept doing it because of her grandma, up until the boy that she liked made fun of her too. This hurt Momo a lot and caused her to say awful things to her grandma, damaging their relationship. At this point, she gave up on the ritual and locked that part of herself, that strangeness, away from the world. While it may seem that it was just to save face or to protect herself from insecurity, this isn't the case. Momo tells him that it had nothing to do with the boy not liking her back. It was because, in making fun of her, the boy that she liked made fun of her grandma, a woman that she idolized and loves. And the fact that she's a spirit medium is also something that she holds dear as well. So she doesn't need to see a spirit to know that they exist, because her grandma believes in spirits. And she believes in her grandma, which is enough for her to believe in spirits too. When it comes to Momo, there's so much depth beneath the surface. She wears a mask day in, day out in order to hide her true self. Yes, but that's not the point. The point of the mask isn't to protect her, but to protect the people that she cares about. If she hides away the things that she loves, ghosts, her family, herself, then she's able to ensure that no one can say anything to disrespect or to undermine them. So she doesn't talk about them. Except now. She can talk to this guy, this soon-to-be Okarun, because he understands it. He gets it. When Momo saw him sat alone being bullied for his interests, she had to intervene because they're the same. She saw her own struggles in him and knew how hard it can be to live through, what hurt that can cause, and so she stood up for him. And this is why she's open now, because she can talk to this boy, because she knows he must understand her in a way that nobody else can. Despite being in separate locations, they have a connection, a closeness, a deepening bond that is felt by her dropping her mask, casting aside the facade, and for once, maybe the first time, being truly honest about her feelings. And perhaps even acknowledging them herself for the first time as well. The chaotic beauty of their future relationship is built upon moments like this. This private world away from the prying eyes of the people around them, where they can just exist with each other alone. Just like how this has allowed Momo to embrace her spiritual side, he can start to show off his capacity to be somewhat normal. Speaking candidly over the phone to Momo and even telling her that he thinks she's easy to talk to. But he doesn't reveal his reason for believing in aliens. At least not yet. Not until he needs to reveal everything. To put it all on the line for the girl who woke up his soul, ignited his purpose, and gave him a reason, finally, to live. This is Okarun. Okarun walks into the tunnel as he chats to Momo. He's scared, terrified of what could be in there, and despite not believing in ghosts, he's clearly open to the idea of being attacked by one. Even though he's on edge, he's simultaneously more relaxed with Momo. When he met her in the hall in the previous scene, he was kind of intense. And this is because he isn't used to having people to talk to. Like, at all. So now, outside of the social setting of school, he's able to slide out of that anxiety and just kind of talk to her. He doesn't speak excessively, and where he previously couldn't be quiet, now he just listens. He gives Momo the space that she needs to be open about herself and to truly digest it. They've gone to these places in competition, confrontationally, yet it seems that they're shifting towards something deeper. And it's beautiful. The two of them are in these desolate places, surrounded by darkness and decay, yet they hold their lights up and cut through this darkness. Their phone screens, instruments for their connecting together, illuminate their faces. A gorgeous representation of the way that they shine a light into each other's worlds. They make their way through their respective locations, fixated on their conversation as they forget about the dinginess that surrounds them. Gentle shifting shots and crossing cuts between lens flares showcase their faces as they playfully chat back and forth. The smoothness of the animation lends an almost waltz-like candor to their motions, a dance between them as they learn to embrace these first few steps. Searching, yet found. Until...
おっぱい吸わせてやるからよ。
He encounters a ghost and jets it towards the exit, but nobody can outrun this yokai. He's captured by the ghost, and at that same moment, Momo is abducted by aliens. Serpos. They've abducted her so that they can experiment on her and learn the secrets of biological reproduction in order to advance their own evolution. Before they can complete their plans, Momo's phone goes off. The cold clinical surgery of the Serpo ship is infiltrated by the furious rage of a monster as it crawls its way through the phone, signified by the blue interior lighting becoming overcome by this redness of the otherworldly beast, creating a beautiful contrast of opposing color schemes as they clash against each other, physically embodied by the yokai attacking the Serpo and removing its banana. Momo looks on in disbelief and sees that the monster is actually the Otaku boy, possessed by the Turbo Granny yokai who dwelled in the tunnel, now in control of him. The red colour spreads further as the Serpos are forced to show their true form. As he ravages the aliens, they eventually get the better of him, and are curious about him. And now we learn the truth of this boy. All he has ever wanted to do is meet aliens, because he's alone. He's always been alone. All he's ever known is loneliness. Across his whole life, he's never fit in with anyone, and so he looked up into the skies, into the cosmos, for otherworldly beings to come and to take him away from it all. If the world views him and treats him as though he's from some other planet, then perhaps beings from another world would see him as worthwhile. Maybe then he could have a friend. But no matter what he did, how hard he tried, no aliens came for him. He was bullied, he was shunned, he was abused, and suffered it in silence. His existence was meaningless and unseen, until she stepped into his life. Momo Ayase stood up for him, a nobody. His life meant nothing up until this moment, and so he doesn't care what it takes. He's not going to let somebody hurt her. Her act of goodness, of selflessness, standing up for Okarun in line with the morality she wants to see in the world, has a ripple. She inspired him to become more, and so in turn, he stands up for her. And he'll even become a monster if it's for her sake. And as he listened to her words earlier, now she listens to him, and truly hears him. He's able to appreciate her for who she is. He embraced her because of her weird side, her love for ghosts. Proof that the world doesn't need to turn away from her just because she has this unusual side. And this is enough to push Momo to reconsider, to re-explore her own soul. She's always relied on this projected persona to protect herself as a means of finding her place. But here's this guy who's ready to lay his life down on the line to protect her, not because of this persona, but in spite of it. And talking to him on the phone has helped her to understand that she loved her grandma so much that she would change the very fiber of her being. But her grandma never taught her this ritual to hide herself. She asked Momo to do it to protect herself. Who cares what people say? What do the voices of many matter when they're up against the truest of bonds? Deep connections that are willing to help you. As this dork just did for her, and how her grandma did back then, where she once rejected it, now she sees it so clearly. She apologizes to her grandma for being embarrassed and lets her lessons flow through her. Momo embraces her chi, lets her weirdness free from its cage, and it glows and grows into a beacon. Momo breaks free from her confines and shines like a goddess. Accepting herself has empowered her beyond her imagination. She kicks the Serpo as she did back then to her ex, but now she's finished pretending. Where once she limited herself through doubt, through insecurity, and a desire to be somebody that she isn't, now she's able to do anything, fully individuated and powerful. She knows what she wants. She knows who believes in her, and she knows herself, finally. So the kick connects, pushes through, and sends the Serpo flying into next year, destroying the ship hull, and the possessed Okarun attacks her. He's out of control due to the curse, but Momo is able to push the yokai out with her newfound abilities. Turbo Granny has his schlong, and until they go back to the tunnel to defeat her, he's never going to be free. The ghost fades, and the ship crashes into the ground. Everything's changed. She believes in aliens, I mean, she was abducted by them. And he believes in spirits, I mean, he was cursed by one. And now they ponder what to do. They barely know each other, and they've been thrust into this situation. And they've lost all their stuff, even Momo's clothes, and she has to stay with him in order to keep the curse at bay with her powers. The two of them need each other, but this doesn't mean that they're ready to accept that need. It's scary, terrifying for them. Two people who have always kind of gone it alone now rely on somebody else. This is especially difficult for Okarun, because he's never had anyone see him in his life until her, and he refuses to risk her life for someone who's as worthless as he is. His confidence is non-existent. He blames himself, and so he opts to go it alone. Momo fires back at him, telling him that without her, he would have died, and that he needs her. He can't just ditch her, and she refuses to just walk away. He's uncomfortable with it, but she pushes through this hesitation and tells him to put his clothes on. In a shot that mirrors their hallway exchange at the beginning of the episode, Momo walks towards him, closing the distance between them and crossing a new boundary once more, solidifying their bond and the fact that they are both in it together. She's reached out to him once more, but then something happens that she couldn't have anticipated. He apologizes to her, saying that he's an awkward fellow, a line once uttered by her beloved Ken Takakura. He hands her his clothes, asking her to wear them to protect her dignity and so that he would actually be able to speak to her properly. Her heart races. It thumps and thuds against her chest. Could this really be... No. She tries to tell herself to calm down, and that it was the awkward fellow line that took her aback. She overcomes these feelings for a second and asks him what his name was. She never really asked him after all. And then he tells her something that will shake her world to its foundations. On the ship, he displayed a willingness to do whatever it took to stand up for her, even at the expense of his own welfare. And now this guy stands in stark contrast, a literal opposite to her ex-boyfriend. He cares for her enough to not exploit her, and quotes Ken Takakura to boot, telling her that his name is literally Ken Takakura. The ship explodes behind her, and all of her past, present, and future collide in this very moment. Momo is a searcher. She's been searching. And now she's found him. This cannot be his name. Momo freaks out and asserts that he simply can't be named that. We see Momo's argumentative side thrust itself to the surface once again as she argues with him, saying that she just doesn't believe him. And who can blame her? Destiny is rarely ever so direct with its intentions as it is right here. He tells her that what she believes isn't really important. His name is Ken Takakura, whether she likes it or not. However, she is not remotely ready to accept it, and so falls to the ground, covering her ears as to hear no more of it. When she has to contend with things that force her to reassess her feelings, Momo oftentimes slips into denial. After all, it's so much easier to simply reject things when they stand in contention to your established worldview. So much so that she simply renames this Ken Takakura, dubbing him Okarun, finally. They need to wait until the evening to fight Turbo Granny, and so they make their way to Momo's house to hold up and prepare for the upcoming fight. But what to take away from this moment is just the chemistry between these two, even now. Their back and forth feels so real, so honest. Momo is playing with Okarun and teasing him about his new designation, even down to Okarun farting right in front of her face, which is just hilarious. Dandadan is a silly series, that's for sure, but there's something so unique about their relationship that elevates it even beyond similar character dynamics in other series. Their relationship is anything but one note, and can shift from playful banter to heartfelt, deep emotional connectivity in a way that's natural and a way that's believable. As the two of them arrive at Momo's house, we discover the power of seals, talismans that protect the Ayase household from infiltration from yokai, as it burns Okarun for stepping across the property's threshold. Momo goes to change and we discover the limitations of her current powers. She has to keep an eye on Okarun while quelling his curse, as breaking contact with him, not being able to see him, causes the curse to immediately take over. Having to be close to each other comes with some added implications, beyond just physical proximity. It's defined quite literally by their closeness. They are being forced together by circumstance, and by spending time together, they can start to learn about each other, and see how their pieces may fit together. Speaking of pieces, Momo asks Okarun to show her his junk. As she recalled, Turbo Granny said that his schlong was a gun. He checks and... it's gone. Here we have it, people. Our plot for Dandadan. Reclaiming Okarun's anatomy. As I said earlier, Momo and Okarun's dynamics can drift really quickly. And here we see it move from a playful back and forth argument into an argument that's a bit more real. Okarun, flustered by the situation, blames Momo for making the contest happen in the first place, and then she tells him that she's not going to accept the blame, and that he was the one that forced the paranormal conversation onto her in the first place. So if anything, he is to blame. Okarun quiets down, and in a soft whisper tells her that he didn't want to let the opportunity slip away. He tells Momo that he's always wanted to have somebody that he could call a friend, and that when she stood up for him, he knew that this may be his one chance to do just that. He could see the moment slipping away, so he acted. Outside of his character, outside of the quiet, nerdy boy that he is, he followed her. He was desperate to talk to her, and used his obsession with the occult as a way to start conversation. And this is wonderful, it's sweet and gentle, as is he. Being bullied is terrible. If you've ever been bullied, seen someone being bullied, or even been bullied yourself, you must know that the pain caused in Okarun's world is unbearable. There's a tragedy to existence. In a lot of ways, we are alone. At the end of the day, we live alone in our heads, which is why it's so central to the human experience to seek out something, anything, to minimize that loneliness as much as possible. Okarun's never known anything but this loneliness. And what's sad is that in chasing Momo, we see how little of a push it takes for someone to stand up and take their first steps towards something, someone better. In chasing Momo in this moment, Okarun decides to follow someone who might help him for the first time, for the only time in his life, so he doesn't have to feel so dreadfully, horribly, painfully alone. Because nobody deserves that. And he doesn't deserve that. Or does he? We see something here in this confession that helps us understand Okarun's mind a little bit better. After so long of having no one, he started to believe that he deserves no one. He tells Momo that she's from another world than him, that she deserves better than him for a friend. Okarun apologizes for getting her mixed up in something dangerous, and that she can go back to ignoring him when all is said and done. Momo's gaze drifts into a sad stare. She feels for him. She's compassionate and genuine, and she doesn't like what he's saying because she sees his value, and tells him that it sickens her to hear him speak that way about himself. That on some level he's making a conscious choice to close himself off, and that he has no friends because he never actually tries to make them. It's so much easier to convince yourself that you're just not good enough because it takes the burden of action away from you. Okarun never had to put himself out there to make friends because he just assumed that he would fail. He breaks down because on some level he knows that she's right. He turns to his right and there she is, in his face, telling him that she doesn't want him to say that she should go back to ignoring him. She tells him that they can just talk about paranormal stuff like always. She made fun of him before, but the truth is that she's also happy that this side of herself is free as well. After so long of hiding it, she's finally able to connect with someone. They've developed this little bubble world, away from everything and everyone, where she can just be her, and he can just be him, and they can just be them, together. But that doesn't mean that they're fully ready to be open with each other right now. Their relationship across Dandadan is a slow burn, and this is just an early step, showcased by the fact that Okarun insults Momo to deflect attention, as a punishment for getting past his defenses. Teenagers, am I right? And then the doorbell rings. This isn't the regular doorbell, because Momo's granny is a psychic, so she has two. One for humans, and one for spirits. Taking down the talisman helped Okarun, but it also allowed another spirit to sneak in, and now it's after them. Momo tells Okarun that they need to put the talisman back up to defeat it, setting it on fire just like what happened to him at the start of the episode. As they sneak out the back, they agree to a plan. Get Okarun off the premises and then to put the talisman back up. A plan destined to fail because they're walled in. A black mist descends upon them as they start to cough up blood. There's poison in the air. They need to find a way to get Okarun through the wall before activating the talisman, or he's going to get caught up in it as well. And then it appears. Another monster steeped in black and white, as the fight takes on a monochromatic aesthetic. The beast knocks them down and they slowly look at each other, followed by a cartoonish blink before they take off. The hilarity of this series is baked into every single level of it, from blinking sound effects to the way that they run. I love its humor. Momo and Okarun run for their lives as he identifies their foe as a cryptid, the Flatwood monster. Okarun determines that the aliens and yokai must share some kind of commonality. But they need to do something. They're on a time limit, because the poison will kill them. Now is Okarun's time to shine, and he's going to fight. Despite his passivity in life, if there's one thing that he knows, it's aliens, and he isn't afraid of them. He asks Momo if she can suppress the curse in his head while allowing him to harness it to empower himself physically. And just as the monster strikes them, Okarun bursts into a new form, and it's incredible. I mean, look at his design. He carries Momo away as they fly through the air, and Okarun is brimming with power. And depression. The power of a yokai also shows off the truth of how their users feel underneath, indicating that Okarun, underneath his exterior demeanor, is pretty miserable. He's bummed out and he thinks that he might be better off gone. The powerlessness of Okarun is front and center here, despite ironically being empowered right now. He feels outmatched by this cryptid and even calls himself an awkward fellow. A Kentakukurda line that's being barred from his lexicon by Momo, to which she responds by shaking him and telling him to snap out of it. As he squares up to the monster, his body moves on its own, and this is the power of Turbo Granny. But this power is too much for his human frame. He can't handle it. Momo saves him and we get to see her genius in action. She's a quick thinker, especially in a crisis, and she posits that as this monster is a sumo, getting him to place his hand on the floor would mean that they win. Okarun has one more all-out in him, and we can finally see our first glimpse of these two in action together. Okarun powers through the beast and Momo pulls him to the ground. But his hand disappears because he's a cheater. The monster slams Momo against the wall by the torii gate and repeatedly hits her against it, creating a massive hole in the surrounding wall. Okarun starts to lose control of his powers again until Momo, even in this position, manages to get control of it. The Flatwoods monster continues to hit her as Okarun begs Momo to just stop and unleash his curse so that he can help. Even if his body can't take it, he doesn't care. He can't just stand idly by and watch her die. But this was her plan, because now she's outside of the torii gate. She grabs Okarun, holds him close, and activates the talisman, destroying the monster and taking them out of empty space. They emerge together as she hugs him back in the real world. And I love how little fanfare is made about these characters just touching each other in Dandadan. They don't throw each other away or panic about holding the other, they're just relieved to be alive. Momo passes out from the fight, which unleashes the curse again. The episode ends with Okarun losing himself, losing control, and losing his mind. A sidekick is on stage attempting to reveal truths about a male idol. He's 27. He's 20. His favorite food is curry. It's ramen. He has a wife and child. He lives alone. The supposed sidekick leaves in disgrace, and in the taxi home she's questioned by the driver about the legitimacy of her abilities, and she opts to walk the rest of the way. Cut back to Okarun. Ravaged by the curse, he begins to lift up an unconscious Momo, and then, boom, headshot. And here she is in all of her glory. This is Saeko Ayase. Okarun's speed is no object, as she's able to easily outmaneuver the crazed beast. Using her bat, she creates a circle of protection around her and a circle of punishment around him. She walks closer, twirling her power of Nessie bat, staring down the monster, and she starts wailing on him. Damn, some guys get all the look. In doing so, she tricks him and creates another circle, walking him into her trap. She breaks the inner circle and Momo wakes up in her bed. Her first thought is Okarun before anything else, and she runs downstairs to see her grandma laying on her side, watching TV. Momo interrogates her about the monster that she saw, Okarun, and Saeko just mocks her, saying that she killed the spirit and refuses to discuss it further. After all, Momo doesn't believe in spirits, does she? That's what she told Saeko when she was little. Momo rejected her grandma, and while we know that it was all because she wanted to protect her name out of love, Saeko doesn't know that. As we just learned in the intro, the world sees Saeko as nothing but a fraud, a liar, a bit of a pariah. Despite the world making a mockery of her, she held true to her belief in spirits and her love for this world, and continued to be a medium. But at the very least, she hoped that her granddaughter would understand and believe in her enough to follow through with her faith in the spirit world. So when Momo rejected this, the only person that Saeko wanted to believe her, it hurt. Saeko turns to Momo and sarcastically says, "I'm a phony spirit medium, remember?" An assertion that subtly tells Momo that she owes her an apology, as well as highlighting the fact that, yes, she has carried this with her for years. Momo grows annoyed and tries to press answers about Okarun's status, but Saeko won't budge. And here we see that trait of Momo's that I adore. She drops and apologizes, telling her that she's so sorry and that she was wrong about her grandma's abilities. Her pride is secondary to the fact that she knows that she's done something wrong to someone that she does care about. She apologizes because she knows that she should, and she really does want to know that Okarun is okay. Saeko tells her to go out to the main shrine and to see for herself, and Momo angrily sprints out of the room to the shrine, saying that she'll never forgive her if something has happened to him. As she runs, we start to see the inner workings of Momo's mind, and how strongly she feels towards this boy already. After all he wanted was a friend. Her desperation is riddled with guilt. He approached her with all of his paranormal nonsense as a way to hopefully communicate with her, and rather than just accept him and be honest and open, she rejected him. Rejected that. She lacked the courage of her grandma to stand up against the criticism and mockery of the world, to just be herself. And because of that, she ended up pushing him to go to this haunted tunnel, and so she sees this as her fault. As she runs up the steps, Momo throws open the doors. She apologizes once more to Okarun. Chowing down on some rice balls. She's flustered as her senses return to her, and she realizes just how emotionally attached she is to the moment. So much build-up inside of her heart to just find him okay. She was worried, so afraid that he was not okay, and now he is. And all of these feelings, she doesn't know what to do with them. Okarun cries in relief. She slams the door on him, pissed that he's okay. She got so worked up and emotional, and now, in typical Momo fashion, she doesn't know what to think or to do with all of these feelings, and so she lashes out, kicking the door, angry that he got her so worried about him, only to turn out to be totally fine. Frustrated, Momo leans against the door and sinks into herself down to the floor. Saeko ambushes her and starts taking an interest in her predicament, specifically asking Momo if this kind of guy is her type, considering the fact that she was oh so worried about him. She knows what the deal is, guys. I mean, she is a psychic after all. Momo explains the situation and how she has psychic powers now since awakening to them on the alien ship, which Saeko refuses to believe because apparently UFOs is a bridge too far for this literal psychic medium with a magical granddaughter. Saeko explains that Turbo Granny was once called the 100 km/h Granny, a yokai of incredible power that combined with another spirit that was bound to the tunnel. She tells Momo to just not bother getting involved and to forget about all of this and the boy, to go back to her regular life and just let him go it alone. What would her Ken Takakura do in a moment like this? Another indication of the regard that she places in him. She decides that he would definitely help, and so that's what she's going to do. To which Saeko mocks her, acting like she was referring to Okarun. She was testing Momo here, I think, testing her resolve, testing to ensure that she meant what she said. And she did. So she gives her a plan. To challenge Turbo Granny to a race and lure her away from the location, weakening her enough to defeat her. But her grandma can't help, because her power is drawn from their region. The only way to beat Turbo Granny is to use Okarun's power, who is finally allowed to join the conversation by the way, with Momo on his back to control the curse, and together they can outrun her. As they settle in for the night, Okarun stops Momo from leaving and apologizes to her. When fighting against the Flatwoods monster, he choked. In his desperation, he ran out of ideas and sort of froze on the spot. She tells him to not worry about it, as it's to be expected under the circumstances, but he tells her that he saw how she acted, that she was different and unafraid, and she saved him and still managed to take down the monster. He's inspired by her, and next time he won't back down because he wants to be the one to help her. He wants to be able to save her. After getting this first friend, he's terrified of losing her. And like I said earlier, Okarun lacks confidence in himself and he sees himself unworthy of her friendship. He acts and feels like he's living on borrowed time with her, so he tells her that he doesn't want her to be disappointed in him, and that he doesn't want to lose her friendship because of that. And she tells him that he's just overthinking things again, to which he gets upset at the fact that she slammed the door in his face. He overreacts like in their first encounter, but quickly apologizes for that as well. As she's walking away, Momo turns and tells him that she thinks he was pretty cool in that fight, but he's a bit of an oaf, and that she'll probably end up saving him next time as well. And he's stunned. He's in awe. This incredible girl is telling him, a nobody, that he is cool. He calls on her as she walks away as though he has something to say, opting instead to just tell her that he's thirsty. A moment of openness stolen away by a lack of bravery to say what his heart is telling him to reveal. A classic Momokuru moment. This relationship is built on swallowing important words rather than just letting them out. As Momo grabs some barley tea, we see Saeko vindicated as the idol that she interrogated earlier comes clean about his status. A thematic reverberation of the fact that the truth always comes to light. Okarun can hide it now, he can pretend that it doesn't need saying, but keeping the truth hidden is easier said than done. But as a new day rises, Okarun needs the toilet. But in order to do it, Momo will need to watch him to keep his curse at bay. This is perfect training. Momo needs to improve her ability to control his aura and to keep the curse at bay inside of him, even through the walls. Auras are the essence of life, and Momo is special. Momo can grab them and seize them. She temporarily manages to advance her powers, but the curse breaks free and Okarun sprints to the toilet because time is of the essence. This just turns into a weird race between these three strange individuals, with Saeko saying Okarun's name, causing Momo to collapse at its sweet, sweet syllables. While they watch him on the crapper, Saeko tells Momo that her true power that she unlocked on the Serpo ship exists somewhere within her, and she needs to unlock it slowly. Okarun and Momo are going to need to work hard to unlock their powers. Time freezes, and Turbo Granny reveals herself. Saiko's nose bleeds as the yokai threatens to kill her and have Okarun kill everyone unless they come to her tunnel tonight. As time floods back, it becomes clear. The showdown happens tonight. Saiko provides the kids with protective garbs against evil spirits, and they walk away. And as they're leaving, Saiko grabs Momo, hugs her tightly, and asks her to not die. And she agrees. As they leave, Saiko asks her patron god to watch over them. They take the train, and Momo starts pumping herself up to fight the yokai, promising to kick her ass. Although Momo always chooses style before function, swapping out her garbs for her own clothes. How else can she get pumped? After all, this is kind of fun, right? Arriving at the tunnel, Momo and Okarun argue in their signature fashion about who should go in first, with Momo trying to win him over with crocodile tears. They elect to go in together, side by side, pushing to make sure that nobody's lagging behind. They go over the plan to lead her out of the city and discuss how they took out the aliens, so this old crone can't be all that bad. Famous last words. And then we get a fresh injection of horror into the scene. Dandadan isn't afraid to bring in some pretty horror-coded cinematics to lend weight to the threat of the yokai. Turbo Granny's head fills the entire tunnel, duplicated to hide away the entrance, and so Momo fires bats at her, but her eyes eat them. That's nasty. She's nasty. Okarun asks Momo to unleash the curse within him so that he can fight, and she does, sending him into his typical depressed state. But as he's getting ready to get serious, he gets depowered. His magical yokai form is taken from him, as Turbo Granny returned his schlong to him. As Turbo Granny is just about to eat them, Momo challenges her, appealing to her ego like her grandma told her to. After all, can't she beat them in a race? The old lady yokai returns to her normal form and agrees to the race, or rather a game of tag, with the rules stating that she has to give them a 10-minute head start. She agrees and the two of them book it for the exit, but Turbo Granny cheats. She catches Momo, covering her in hands and hiding her within a shell, unable to escape. Turbo Granny tells Okarun that her 10 minutes are up, and now it's his turn, and that he should start running. There are a few moments in Dandadan where Okarun has to make a choice to run or a choice to fight. And this is his first real moment to decide what kind of man he wants to become, and a test on how far he will push himself to protect her. As the yokai tells him to run, he thinks of her, and the conversation they shared the night prior. Momo told him that he's an oaf, and that she'll definitely have to save him again next time. When she said that, it was more than just banter. She was saying that she would do that. That she put her life on the line before to save him, and if that moment came back around, she'd do it again, without hesitation. Whether he can believe it or not, this girl sees him as a valued friend, and it's his duty to stand up now and to act. And so he leaps at Turbo Granny and suckles on that tea. Protected by his clothes, Turbo Granny has no choice but to fully possess him, placing her powers inside of him completely. Which means that Momo, after training herself and her powers, can grab Turbo Granny's aura and control her, leaving Turbo Granny at their mercy. That is until the location-bound spirit shows up. The earthbound crab. Momo and Okarun spring into action and start to run for their lives as the crab chases them, looking to get Turbo Granny back. But she's squarely under the control of Momo, who is now physically grabbing her to keep her in check, as Okarun harnesses her abilities, grabbing Momo and carrying them on his back as they run. Still unable to master the extent and scope of his abilities, he flies off the side of the road and uses an all-out to fly, something that they can't sustain, and they hit the ground with Okarun using his body to break Momo's fall. Such a gentleman. Okarun only has one more all-out and the crab is gaining on them. As they run through the streets, the normal population, who don't have spiritual ability, can't see his yokai form and just think that he's giving her a piggyback ride, which is kinda cute. He's running out of strength to keep going, and Momo springs an idea, to go through a shopping centre until they hit a hot spring. In the hot spring, Momo breaks the pipes and sends the hot water all over the crab, stiffening its muscle fibres, and cooking it from the inside out. It goes red and it stops moving, and Momo considers eating it. The two of them exit and head to the city outskirts, but it's quiet. Too quiet. As a flurry of people run toward them in the street. The undead spirits from a nearby graveyard have arisen and lend their power to control people and hunt down Momo and Okarun. This fight is far from over. Momo trips when running and they're surrounded. She takes charge, turns to Okarun and tells him that now is the time to use his final all-out. He doubts her judgment, but she's firm, grabbing him by the shirt and pulling him close, telling him that there is no other way. Momo tells Okarun to trust her. He looks at her in the eyes, unsure of himself as he always has been, but this uncertainty within him is how he's always lived. Not ready to push himself, scared of doing what he must do. But Momo looks at him, and he knows that he has to push on, because he does trust her. Completely. He transforms and raises up, but Momo grabs him, extending her hand, but he continues, and as his hand drifts past hers, she holds onto it. They linger for but a moment, before his hand closes around hers and he lifts her up from the ground. They're ready. Momo and Okarun's relationship is ruled and governed by this physicality. Their touch is a direct demonstration of their feelings for each other, and a direct metaphor for their journey together. While Okarun tries to drift away, Momo holds him, stops him, and ultimately the two of them have secured this bond, closing their hands together. Because they aren't just friends, they're partners. This is the moment that Momo and Okarun's trust in each other, wholehearted, honest, earnest trust, is locked in completely. Up until now, they've tried to figure out their powers and how they can operate together, but here, now, with their trust in full perspective, they move as one. We see a combination of their powers together. Each of their weaknesses are covered by their partner's strength. Okarun's passion shines through. Momo's quick thinking wins the day. As they fly through the air, Okarun is even able to summon his yokai form past his final all-out to help provide them with a safe landing, inspired by his bond with her, with Momo. Eventually they're cornered by Turbo Granny, who's furious at Momo's disrespect towards her. She combines with the crab and offers them a 10 or even 20-minute head start. Momo tends to Okarun, and then her plan finally comes to fruition. Because she doesn't need 1 second, Momo's abilities let her grab onto anything. She holds onto the nearby train and is sent flying, landing on top of it with Okarun. She taunts Turbo Granny, who rises to the bait as Momo grabs her to stop her from escaping. As the train leaves the outskirts of the city and into Kamigoe City territory, Psycho's turf, the countless talismans that she's put up hit Turbo Granny and blow her to smithereens. Victory. As the crab's body fades, the form of numerous girls can be seen by Momo until they fade away as well. And this is the heart of Dandadan's yokai. This is more than just one monster, it's a collection of countless spirits bound to the earth, to the restless souls of the girls who died in that tunnel. She would console them and keep them company. And we see this, Dandadan cares deeply for the victimization of society's most vulnerable and shines a light onto their suffering. And in seeing this, Momo learns a lesson: to not disrespectfully trample on the sites of the dead. But it's dinner time! The tradition begins, and tonight they're eating crab. Momo and Saiko are fighting over food, and Okarun is just sat there amid the chaos. We see the type of household that Momo comes from, and it's hysterical. The idea that Okarun could have been considered the stranger one between Momo and him is ridiculous, because she is crazy. As Saiko questions whether or not he has got his dong back, she chases him around the house to get him to prove it, while Momo just chows down. But it's late, and so it's time to go home. They walk Okarun to the door to see him off, but Saiko heads back in because she's cold. The past few days have been wild. They met and they connected over their hidden selves, unveiling parts of their personalities that they took away from the world. They fought ghosts and aliens, overcome some incredible challenges, and discovered this inner power, harnessing them and honing them together. And most importantly, they forged the trust. Momo and Okarun have learned to rely on each other, using their spiritual abilities to complement each other and complete each other. In the fire of conflict, they are greater than they were just a few mere days earlier. No longer adrift in the world, tethered together and stronger for it, but now their purpose, their mission is complete. And what does that mean for this tether? Okarun says goodbye to Momo, who says it back as she starts to slowly walk towards the exit. He's had so little time with a friend, and he wonders, what did it mean to say goodbye? Will they see each other again? Goodbye. Or is their time over? Goodbye. After all, they were drawn together by circumstance, two strangers in the same situation. Okarun is distressed, and he's spiraling at his own awkwardness and his own overthinking. The same inadequacies that forced him to feel unworthy of her friendship now drive him to think that he will never see her again. His friend, this amazing girl. But it's more than that. As Momo watches him leave, she wonders the same thing too. When he said goodbye, did he mean goodbye? Or goodbye? So she takes actions into her own hands. She shouts to Okarun and tells him that she'll see him tomorrow. A much more laid-back form of goodbye, but more importantly, carrying that reassurance that they'll see each other again tomorrow, no matter what. They're friends. This goes deeper than just his feelings. Momo has found in him a kindred spirit, a like-minded fellow, and she wants to see him again. And he wants to see her too. It's more than a see you tomorrow, it's a contract, a deal being sealed. A promise that this thing, this whatever you may call it, that has happened out of nowhere isn't just going to end just because they're bidding farewell. When Momo tells him that she will see him tomorrow, she means that she will see him tomorrow. No matter what. Hey guys, the video is going to continue in just a moment, so stay tuned. If you're enjoying the video, it'd be amazing if you dropped a like. And if you like what I'm doing with the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell notification, and all that other YouTube stuff. It helps a lot, and it will keep you updated on all things Safety Zone Rookie. Also, a quick shout out to my patrons. The amazing names that you can see on screen here, these people keep me going. Knowing that you guys are there supporting the channel is more meaningful than I can possibly express, so thank you. If you want to join our ranks, the Patreon link's in the description. Joining's free and it gets you access to my Discord, so that you can stay up to date with the best Dandadan community on the internet. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's press on. The next day, we see Okarun approaching the school gates in agony. He's stressed at the idea of saying hi to Momo in the morning. Since establishing their friendship over the past few days, they've been together pretty much the entire time. They've literally barely been able to keep their eyes off of each other because of the curse, and so here we see Okarun trying to figure out how exactly to re-establish communication with Momo after being separated. It's hard, and Okarun's still so new to friendship. So he runs down all the ways that he could approach her: calm, excited, cool, and then he sees her, standing by the gate, waiting. For him? Surely not. They catch each other's gazes and Okarun melts. He can't believe that she would wait for him. After all, he doesn't really see himself as being a worthy friend for her. So he takes the safe bet and presumes that she's waiting for somebody else and tries to ignore her. Because there's definitely no way that she's waiting on him. And this is Okarun doing precisely what Momo accused him of in episode 2. He never puts himself out there. He closes himself off because at his heart he has these confidence issues. And as he walks by her, she watches and once again chooses to act. Momo's ready to push herself into his life because she likes him. They're friends and they walk together to class, which Momo is thrilled about. She's excited to just talk to him again. After so long of keeping her weirdest self secret, now she has this friend that finally understands her and she doesn't have to hide it, so she can talk his ear off. However, Okarun is still pretty nervous and struggles to talk back. As they part ways, we see the way that the world treats Okarun. He's shoved around and shouted at just for existing. It's hard to watch people treat him this way considering he's done nothing wrong. But today it's different. Yes, he's treated like garbage, but he thinks of her, and how he can endure all of the insults and cruelty of everybody around him. He can even forgive it, because now he has a reason to survive it. His most wonderful friend, Momo Ayase. Conversely, Momo is in her class, noticeably disassociated from what's happening around her. Miko and Muko try to draw her attention, but Momo is completely adrift in her own world. Momo slumps over her desk, longing to talk about aliens with him, Okarun. They spend the day thinking about how desperate they are to get through all the mundanity of the day-to-day life that they lead and talk about aliens and ghosts. Where just days ago, Momo rejected aliens, Okarun laughed at ghosts. Now they want to discuss them, together. Momo desperately wants to know more about aliens, to listen to Okarun just yap about them, a stark reversal of when she shouted him down in the hall. Whereas Okarun wants to make up for earlier. He regrets not talking to Momo that morning because he was so nervous and he needs to do better. The contrast of the past few days against the normalcy of the real world is enough to drive them both mad. As soon as lunch begins, they spend the entire time just looking for each other and struggling to find each other. Just as they're about to see each other, they keep going through these near misses at the cafeteria, at the store, but they're missing. They can't find each other and they both come to the same sad conclusion. They think that they're being avoided. Momo and Okarun sit at benches just out of each other's view and their insecurities bubble to the surface. Okarun's worst fears have seemingly come to light. He thinks he's too boring for her or that he's annoying. He was so worried about his low status and how Momo, a popular girl, may see him as lesser, and he isn't surprised. But he is devastated. His unworthiness is a constant roadblock on his path towards Momo, especially right now in the series. He thinks that he tried to reach too high, and now he hates himself for it. We knew this about him already, of course, but what's more interesting is the insight that we get into Momo's insecurities here. She slowly starts to doubt her behavior from that morning. She was just so excited to talk to him that she feels like she might have ignored the fact that he was seemingly quiet that morning. Momo let her guard down. She showed her true desire and weirdness, and now she worries that she revealed too much. And that scared him off. That she was too forward. By exposing her vulnerability and then being rejected, that hurts more than anything. It's the exact kind of thing that forces someone to hide this part of themselves away in the first place. As they walk away, their budding friendship seems like it might end here, and they apologize to each other for their inadequacies. As they collide,
ごめん、わかる。
as they jump away from each other, they lament over the fact that they clashed teeth and start interrogating the other about why they're here. Okarun tells her that he's been looking everywhere for her, and she tells him that she was doing the same, scolding him for wandering around so much at lunch, which is why she couldn't find him. Shocked by this, Okarun asks her if she really was looking for him, and she says yeah, followed by expressing that now she's sad because they have no time together because lunch is about to end. And then they go a bit further, maybe revealing more than they intended to. Okarun tells Momo that he was worried that she was avoiding him, to which Momo responds with her own insecurity that he was doing the same to her. There's an awkwardness in the air. In a way, they've just expressed how much they like each other. They've let it slip that they are desperately trying to forget about the world around them and rekindle that small, private world that they lived together for the past few days. A world that's about to come crashing against the weight of reality around it. Cutting through the silence, Miko and Muko appear and start shouting about the fact that they just saw Momo and Okarun kissing. Momo and Okarun freak out at being caught sort of kissing and start to argue. They say some pretty mean stuff to each other and storm out in opposite directions, saying that they don't want to talk to each other anymore. As Miko and Muko say what we're all thinking. They're really into each other. The question is whether or not the relationship between these two can survive the real world, whether or not they're able to overcome the judgment of other people. Okarun drifts to the bathroom and rethinks the encounter because he does want to talk to her, and thinks to himself that he should probably go and apologize. His balls are missing. Meanwhile, Momo is being made fun of for kissing Okarun in the courtyard, and she is infuriated. Slamming her hands against the table out of anger, the girls in the class are spreading rumors about him being her boyfriend, and on cue, he runs to the class in interesting form. He exclaims to Momo that he needs to talk to her alone, while all the other girls watch on. They're quite unimpressed by him, seeing him as a dork, which just embarrasses Momo further. She says that she told him that she doesn't want to talk to him and won't hear him out. And Okarun stresses the importance of this discussion and begs her to listen to him, but she just rejects him flat out, in front of everyone. The girls continue to make fun as Momo is just embarrassed on all fronts, with Okarun expressing that he didn't mean what he said earlier. And the truth is that he can't help wanting to talk to her. It's all that he thinks about. Which pushes Momo over the edge. As the class goes crazy, she tells him to get lost and leave her alone. Momo does want to hear this. I mean, after all, she was so worried earlier that he was avoiding her, and she cares about him a lot, looking for his approval, for him to have a desire to see her as well, but that's exactly the problem. Just like how Momo angrily rejected her grandma and her teachings after people made fun of it as a means of protecting it, here she wants Okarun to go away so she doesn't have to deal with the social ramifications of her friendship. She's overwhelmed by the conflicting positions of her two selves, her desire for Okarun to want her around and like her, versus her desire to keep that private self hidden from the world around her. When in situations like this, with feelings welling up inside, Momo shuts down, as if that's enough to shut them off. Feelings are scary. But for Okarun, this strikes into the heart of his greatest fear as well. That he isn't worthy to be her friend. He asks her, "Are you that embarrassed to be friends with me?" There's a second of silence that lasts an eternity as Okarun walks away, hurt. Miko points out that she didn't need to hurt him so badly. If they were friends, then surely they could have just joked around. And that she's never seen Momo this way before. Because Momo's never felt this way before. And she's terrified of what these feelings might mean. And that makes sense. But it doesn't excuse the way that she acted. She knows that he's never had a friend before, and she hurt him by saying what she said. So now Momo needs to make a choice. Is she ready to be publicly friends with this dork, despite what people will say? Is he good enough to be her friend or not? A question that will soon be answered. As Okarun walks down the hall, he wonders and wonders about Momo, and whether she's already gone home. Despite the disaster of the day, he meant his words. He really does want to talk to her more than anything. Her friendship means everything to him. In his own world, he accidentally bumps into someone. A girl. A popular beauty. This is Aida Shiratori. She apologizes profusely for bumping into him, as Okarun tries to do the same. She seems incredibly remorseful over her actions and just wants to make sure that he's okay, reaching out and touching his arm, sending him into a frenzy of embarrassment. She looks him in the eyes and calls him kind, seemingly flirting with him. At that moment, Momo walks down the hall thinking about what she did earlier. She regrets that she hurt Okarun and is arguing with herself, eventually accepting that she was the one in the wrong. And then she sees them. She watches as Okarun talks with Aida, who places her arm on his. Momo watches them, laughing together, and feels jealousy. Jealousy is an important emotion in Dandadan, and not just as a means of creating drama. It pushes characters to consider why they feel jealous, and this fuels their character development. Momo is visibly upset that Aida is chatting up Okarun, as well as being intimidated by her cuteness. As their paths cross, Momo overhears Aida chatting with her friends about Okarun, and Aida expresses how she takes pleasure in this total nerd having a crush on her. She enjoys that he can dream about her and then makes fun of him, saying that he'll never talk to another girl or be touched by one as fine as her ever again. Momo smolders in fury. And it all becomes clear to her. Shying away from being Okarun's friend in an attempt to stop people from making fun of their bond is not going to help him, nor will it stop the ridicule. Just like with Saeko, the world will make fun, there's no stopping that, but what matters is making it matter, instilling it with purpose. With her grandma, Momo rejecting her didn't stop TV from mocking her. All it did was create a wedge between the two of them, a pain that Saeko carried and resented until Momo apologized. And now we see that same dynamic with Okarun. Momo hiding her friendship with him isn't going to stop people from hurting him, all it does is make him feel like he's not worthy. And this kid, this boy, this sweet little naive guy needs her. He needs her to be his friend, one that isn't scared to be his friend and to stand next to him as they face the world together. Because people will make fun, people will bully, and the world will laugh at him for simply having a dream of not being alone. In this moment, all the social ramifications melt away and Momo makes her choice, to stand beside him, and to take out anyone who tries to hurt him. On the way home, Momo and Okarun walk together, and there's a silence in the air. Words left unsaid. Eventually, Momo comes out and speaks. She tells him that she's sorry for how she behaved earlier. When they were caught in the sort of not a kiss, she panicked. And she tells him that she's so sorry for being embarrassed and she's not ashamed of being friends with him. And this is a wonderful moment. She isn't scared to tell him that she's done something wrong. She's so real. Admitting that you are wrong can be so difficult, and it's why I love Momo. It takes guts, and she's ready to admit it because she values him more than she values her pride. And Okarun values her too. He doesn't linger about this situation, he just accepts her apology and is eager to patch things up with her. They stop, and she turns to look at him, and he looks at her. This was a healing moment, and they've become closer because of it. Their friendship is so deeply entwined with everything that they're going to become. It feels like there could be more here, more left unsaid, but Okarun cuts their lingering look short by talking about an important issue. His balls. They're gone. Back in the Ayase house, Momo is dying of laughter, while Saiko is interrogating him about his missing junk, shocked that he's only just realized now that they're missing. They discuss the logistics of what Okarun's downstairs mix-up currently is, and then they come to a conclusion, after looking inside of him, that there is something else in there. Momo puts up a talisman on a Maneki Neko, a lucky cat, while Okarun sits with his feet in water. A foreign entity is inside of him, that Momo pulls out and swings around until it lands inside of the cat. The Maneki Neko is alive, and the chase is on. Saiko, Momo, and Okarun chase the little cat around, with Momo eventually tracking it down into a closet, using her powers to catch it. And then the cat screams about its desire to murderize. This is Turbo Granny. The new Turbo Granny, in possession of this little body. She managed to survive her encounter with Momo by taking refuge inside of Okarun secretly, hiding and recovering. We also then discover that it's Turbo Granny that's responsible for Okarun's missing balls. He has Turbo Granny's power lingering within him, which she tries to control. His form swirls and twists until he takes on his yokai form, something that Turbo Granny didn't anticipate. He has her powers, yes, but he is in control. The fan only removed the evil spirits from the body, and only her consciousness was thrown out. And just like that, Turbo Granny begs Saiko for mercy, and these two old ladies start a friendship of their own. Okarun switches back, and Momo approaches Turbo Granny, offering her a deal. She felt sympathy for the girls who were killed before their time, and that's a feeling that bonds her and Momo together. So she tells Turbo Granny that she can have her powers back when Okarun gets his balls back, and they agree. The only problem is, she might have kinda lost them. They're out there, somewhere, enveloped in a golden spirit energy membrane. They're golden balls. The plot of Dandadan. They take to the streets to try to find the balls, to no avail. It turns out that the powerful life force within the balls attracts spirits and yokai alike. After all, they believe that they can come back to life if they access a powerful life force. So the hunt stops being where are the balls, and now it's become who has the balls. For now, it's all about strategy. And with Okarun in possession of powerful abilities, he's going to have to keep a low profile, which is easier said than done. The next day at school, Okarun is greeted very differently. Rather than being pushed around, Yagami Light over here just throws his arm around Okarun, accosting him and asking him about him and Momo. He wants to know if the rumors are true, if they're dating. The event that transpired in the courtyard must have gotten around quite quickly from yesterday, it seems. Okarun dispels the rumor, and the guy asks Okarun to introduce him to Momo. After all, Ayase is super cute, don't you think? And then it hits him. Momo is cute. The glass shatters and he sees Momo completely differently. He was just happy to have her as a friend, and he never really saw her properly for the beauty that she is. And now he's forced to contend with that, because he sees it. It seems that he's finally realized that she's cute. And here's the thing. A lot of people, this guy included, are only after one thing. But Momo and Okarun are special together. Their relationship is built on friendship, which is what makes it so powerful, and is also something that Okarun would never want to betray or disgrace by viewing her as some kind of object. He beats himself up, literally, over the fact that he's thinking about her in these terms, while the Death Note user asks him if they've done it, saying that the rumors going around are that she'd put out for anyone, and Okarun loses it. He turns and grabs the guy by the scruff of the neck, demanding to know who has been spreading this kind of lie. He tries to hold his own, but Okarun morphs into his yokai form and forces the boy who thought himself a man to his knees, asking him once more who was spreading the rumors, because Momo isn't that kind of girl, so it's best not to repeat. those kind of lies. Because Momo is his dear friend and he's not about to let anybody disrespect her. The kid screams and says that he doesn't know who spread the rumors, and just as quickly as he'd changed, Okarun switches back. Obviously people without spiritual ability can't see his yokai form, so to all of his mates it looks like the nerdiest kid in class just beat this guy up, which is hilarious. He hurries back to his seat and buries himself in his book. He's losing control of his emotions, which means that he's losing control of his yokai form. And then Turbo Granny pops out of his bag. He grabs it and runs, before stopping to question her about what it is that she's doing here. She tries to mischievously smooth talk her way into getting her powers back, but this doesn't work for a second. And around the corner, Momo appears, to see what's going on. He's about to tell her about Turbo Granny, but he freezes when he sees her. As she looks at him, and as he looks at her, the unshakable, unwavering, unyielding truth is right in front of him, screaming in his face, and he can't deny it or escape it. She is cute. He shoops away from her, embarrassed at these newfound feelings stirring within him, as his clear crush claws its way to the surface of his soul. She's annoyed that he's walking away from her and takes off after him, chasing him down the hall, as Turbo Granny struts out on her own to take in a bit of the school life experience. In class, the best girls ask her about what's upsetting her, and asking whether or not there's trouble in paradise with her lover boy, Okarun. Momo expresses that she's annoyed at him, because he's ignoring her, but Miko tells her that she should cheer up because he's a good guy. Momo's shocked at this and wonders why it is that she would say that, and then she learns that Okarun beat up a guy for badmouthing her that morning. And she's flustered. Hearing this about him standing up for her honor is explicitly within the scope of her perfect ken. Both Okarun and Momo have learned something new about their feelings here, and for both of them, they now see the other in an all-new light. But right now, one thing is clear. There are some pretty nasty rumors going around about Momo. Miss Perfect. Everyone's face is glued to her as she walks down the hall. She's kind and smiles to everybody because it lets them believe that she might like them, and that helps her popularity. It keeps them going because they get to believe what they want to believe. Because she's kindness and beauty combined, but not towards Momo. Because Ida is responsible for the rumors. She saw it. Momo's demon form. Her devil wings that drop the wash basin on her head. She sees it as her divine mission to bring Momo down because she was chosen by the Golden Ball. We open with a flashback to Ida walking home as the Golden Ball bonks her on the head. She takes a lot of head trauma in this show, by the way. She picks it up. She was walking near the train tracks after the demise of the Earthbound Crab, which sent the ball flying to her. She watched the sparks fly from the battle, all because this ball brought to life the spiritual energy within her. So she kept it, an obvious gift from the heavens. In the present, Ida's friends have brought her a variety of religious memorabilia and a funny smelling cross to ensure that she can excise Momo Ayase's demon soul. Ida tells them that because of her beauty she was chosen, and it falls to her to save the world. Her friends are pretty confused at what it is that she's got planned, but Ida stops them from interrupting by pointing out a woman in red. No one can see it but her, and she presumes that it must be Momo's spy or familiar. Ida is weird. She's so strange. As boys approach, she flicks back to her projected personality, acting cutesy and ditzy to keep up this image. Much like Okarun and Momo, Ida hides her true self beneath this veneer of a different person. She projects a falsehood to people to keep up this image of perfection in order to be seen as someone that she isn't, when underneath she's a complete weirdo, which we see as she signs a plan out to her friends in the air, who are so confused. Meanwhile, Momo and Okarun are sat and having lunch together, and she can't get him to look at her. He invents some excuse about watching Turbo Granny to stop her from running off, but this just leads to them fighting. Turbo Granny tells them that she's trying to help them to find the golden balls because if a human found one, It may have awakened their spiritual powers, and now they would be able to see spirits. And if they can see spirits, then spirits can see them too. Turbo Granny states that she's seen an eerie woman, and that after school they'll find her. Ida prepares herself to confront Momo, but she's continuously stalked by this woman in red. At the end of the day, Ida asks Momo to come with her to talk, and she agrees, if only to avoid trouble. Turbo Granny also tells Okarun that Ida is the girl that they're looking for. Ida attacks Momo in a warehouse backed up by her cronies and ties her hands behind her back. And she tries to exorcise her. Momo uses her spiritual abilities to yeet Ida's friends across the room as she brings out the big guns, Okarun's nut, and presses it against her face. As they tussle and argue, they catch the sight of Okarun, who's sprinting towards them. Momo's relieved that he's coming to help her, but he's running not to them, but from something, because he found the eerie woman. And it's not Ida. She is the target. The acrobatic Silky yokai blasts into the scene, washing the warehouse with a pink hue as it snatches up Ida, finally with her in her grasp. And they can be together now. The fight begins and Acro Silky dodges all of Okarun's moves with its superior agility. Ida sees Okarun as a demon too, and... Yikes. Momo's powers are limited because her hands are tied, and the yokai gets some one-on-one time with Ida. She tells her that she's waited for over a decade for Ida to finally see her, and that she, Acro Silky, is her mother. She tells her that Ida once called her mother, and she is desperate to hear her say it again. When Ida rejects her, she eats her too. The monster blames Momo and attacks her, beating her down and catching her in her silky hair, eventually asking Momo to call her mother, which she refuses. And then she too is, yeah, you got it, she's eaten. And Turbo Granny steps up. As a Maneki Neko, she carries good luck in her vessel. Acro Silky ate some of her hair when she ate Momo, and hair is flammable. The funny smelling cross from earlier was a lighter, which Momo uses to torch her from the inside out. And just like that, the three of them are all spat out. And now comes the counterattack. Okarun runs, carrying Ida in his arms, dodging all of Acro Silky's hair attacks and running around the arena. Eventually she catches him and reaches out for Ida, trying to eat her so that they can be together forever. But she's just out of her grasp. She can't reach. And this was the plan the entire time. To tangle Silky up in her own hair and to give them time to fight back. Momo holds her in place, but Okarun doesn't really know how to fight. He stands helplessly as Silky breaks free. She charges at them, charges at Momo, who screams for Okarun. He doesn't know what to do, but it doesn't matter. All that he cares about is throwing himself between them to protect her, and without thinking, he acts. Moving in front of Momo and launching himself headfirst at Silky, sending her flying, and winning the day. As they make their way to Ida, they get the golden ball back. There's just one problem. This girl's dead. Momo and Okarun frantically, desperately attempt to resuscitate Ida, but to no avail. As she had no spiritual powers when she was eaten by Silky, it's no use. She's gone. Acro Silky wanders toward them. Not to fight, but to let them know that there's nothing that they can do to revive her because her aura is fading. And Acro Silky is ready to sacrifice her life force to power Ida's. Momo doesn't trust that she isn't going to try to eat Ida again, but Silky means it. She tears open her mouth, dislodges her jaw, and rips her face to pieces to prove herself. She just wants to help Ida before it's too late. They agree, and Okarun transforms himself in preparation of trickery as Momo connects Ida and Silky together to establish a connection to transfer her soul. A soul that Momo peers into. The memories, of acrobatic Silky. We see a woman wake up in a hotel room, naked and alone. Money on the side table and her alarm going off, she sits up and leaves. Wandering the streets alone in the rain and the cold, wearing muted colours of tan and grey, this woman blends into the background. A silent figure in a world that passes by around her. We hear the murmurs of those out on the town, laughing and enjoying their nights, as she remains a silent figure, walking alone. Briefly, a pink dress catches her eye, the eventual attire that's donned by the yokai she's destined to become, a foreshadowing of awaiting tragedy. As she walks up to her apartment door, we see the mundanity of the world that she exists in. She wears a somber expression, hesitating to unlock the door. But what life could she have? What misery must she live in to be so afraid to face what lies behind this boundary? She musters her courage and opens it, and warm light cuts through the damp and the grey as she's met by this tiny person, a little girl. She looks down at the face of her daughter. Her expression is bright and loving, with a twinkle in her eye that spreads to her mother's face too, as she smiles. She's home. The montage we see gives us insight into the life of this woman and the two faces that she wears to two oh so different worlds. In the normal world, she's nobody. Blink and you'll miss her as she works tirelessly across multiple jobs, a faceless what's-her-name, quietly providing labour, signified further by her literal facelessness in these scenes. But in her home, in this teeny tiny room, she's the most important woman in existence. She's a teacher, she's a cook, and she's a provider. She's a mother. Everything that she does to support her daughter, and she does so much. This woman who will become Acro Silky is driven by love, and this love is manifested in the deepest of sacrifices. She sacrifices her time, her energy, and even her dignity itself to provide the small world that she's carved out with her child. There is a banal cruelty to life that is often left unspoken. Ignorance for those around us, ignorance for those who we would rather not see or hear, because noticing them means acknowledging their suffering. The world chews us up and spits us out, and so we see this single mother, one of the most vulnerable groups of people, being worked to the bone for the simplest of lives. A small space to live and love with her daughter. This kind of pain is so central to the series. Those on the fringe of society are made to suffer silently. People have a tendency to ignore and rationalize the pain of others because it makes their lives easier to live. But these people have lives themselves, and their hurt is as valid as anyone's. Understanding outcasts is so central to Dandadan, after all. Despite all of this gnawing away at her, she shoulders the burdens of the world, stands in as a protector to give her daughter as normal a life as possible. They might not have much, but they have each other. The simplicity of her daughter's joy is so honest and so raw versus the complexity of an uncaring society governed by money, appetite, and ignorance. The small, private, insular world that exists between two people who love each other is important to Dandadan. Just look at Momo and Okarun's relationship and how it flourishes when it's just the two of them. But this can't exist. We don't live in a vacuum, and the waves of reality will continue to crash against the walls of our hidden havens until they're eroded away completely. As any mother would, she wants to give her daughter more, and so she buys her a dress, the one that she saw, using essential money to do it. The contrasting warm glow of this inner refuge versus the cold lights of the world that surrounds it provides us with a definition between what this woman values against what threatens it, the weight of existence. The soft radiance of their private life characterizes the scenes between her and her daughter. But this can't last. Day turns to night as the shadows slowly creep in as the outside world slowly infiltrates their sanctuary. The homely luminescence of their internal shelter is diminished, lit only by candlelight now, flickering as their timer runs low. The candles are blown out, and only the distant stars provide comfort by twinkling illumination. Perhaps out there, somewhere, a better world does exist. Because this one is unjust. Savage. The gentle, whimsical music ends, and the young girl screams and cries, watching her mother being assaulted. The sounds of her brutal beating are stark and heartbreaking as she's thrown into glass which cuts her and impales her. These men are looking for money, but in lieu of that are ready to take something more important. Her daughter. Love is the most powerful force that exists. It can push a mother to grind herself into dust for the sake of her child. That single source of love, that fragile beacon of hope, becomes the fuel that powers every waking moment. It can be someone's salvation. It can change their very lives to force them to become someone that they were always meant to be, all for the person that they love. But love can be damnation, as such devotion has a darker side. Losing that most important person is enough to turn someone into a beast, into a monster. Wounded and broken, she still fights, on hands and knees like a wild animal, feral and desperate. Her body moves purely on instinct, her eyes locked on one thing, protecting her daughter at all costs. She doesn't think, she just acts, which is who she is, a protector, a warrior, a mother. Her life has been defined by surrendering herself to protect her daughter, doing every possible thing in service of this singular mission, but it's never enough. And it's not enough now. They take her daughter and leave her battered and bruised. Despite being close to death, she refuses to surrender. She rips through the streets and we hear her panicked, frenzied breaths, more animal than person, purely driven by instinct. She has nothing else that matters to lose, so she will keep on pushing. But the gut-wrenching truth is that they're gone. Her sorrow, her desperation, the world-ending pain of it, we feel it too. But even this is a mere microcosm of her pain. Gleaming starlight, the faraway promise of a better world, likes the rain-soaked scene, as we see her, dancing as she did with her daughter. This is all she has left now, and this final ballet atop a sopping building is as close as she can get to reclaiming that now. She dreams of her daughter telling her that she loves her as she throws herself from the rooftop, succumbing to the cruelty of this awful world. The story of Acrobatic Silky is disturbing, not just because of what happened, but because of what it all meant. Every moment, every action that this dedicated, fervent, powerful woman took to support her daughter should be heartwarming. She should be proud to have done so much with so little support, but she isn't. She can't be. Because how it all ended recontextualized her struggles through this lens of failure. Every moment of joy that she brought to her daughter is inverted 1,000-fold because she couldn't make it last. The power of love is incalculable, and the pain of failing love, of not being or doing enough to sustain the one person that you love more than anything, is unbearable. The cruel irony of her existential punishment is that she has to linger in the world as a ghost, one that is unseen in limbo as she was in life. As humans, we think ourselves governed by logic and reason, but it's emotion that makes up the core of our souls. Shown here as Acro Silky loses her memories, until all that's left is the emotional black hole within her, of lingering lost love that longs to be made whole. So when Ida, a girl without a mother, mistakes this spirit, a mother without a daughter, as her mother, she immediately attaches her unresolved maternal instincts onto Ida. Silky needs something to love. These feelings have built up over the years and she must channel them into someone, and it turns her into a monster. Fueled by the same animalistic frenzy that drove her to fight, but now, she doesn't even remember why. Eventually, she reworks her memories. She starts to genuinely believe that Ida was her daughter and that she will follow her until one day she can connect. One day, she can be seen. And love can be selfish. Losing that love so central to her being has led her to where we are now, where she tried to consume Ida to keep them together as one flesh. But the true, sacrificial love that Acro Silky harnessed in life shines through, and she gives up her aura to Ida and allows her to live. An extension of the sacrifices that she made day in and day out for her daughter, and now she makes the ultimate sacrifice, to die, so that Ida may live. This act of love, mirrored across 2 lifetimes, allows her to come to her senses and remember who she truly is in her dying moments. But remembering this love means remembering her failure. She wanted to give her daughter everything, but ultimately could only give her the bare minimum, and in her eyes she failed even at that. As Acro Silky begins to break away, destined to be forgotten in the abyssal nothing that spirits go to when they die with regret in their hearts. Her entire existence is steeped in loss, pain, and regret. Even her dress is a copy of the dress that her daughter wore, an echo of lost love, but also a cruel, self-inflicted brand of her failure. Momo begs Turbo Granny to do something, but this is up to Acro Silky. She has to make peace with her life, and nobody can do that for her. But how could she? All she can do in these final moments is contemplate what a monster of a mother she was. She couldn't give her daughter more, she couldn't be with her more, and she couldn't have been more. She blames herself for all the harm that befell her child. She believes that she could have had a good life if she hadn't been born cursed by a worthless failure of a mother. Ida looks upon her as she starts to break apart. This pitiful creature that lived a life of pain only to die, steeped in regret, with all of that pain and suffering being meaningless as it's destined to be forgotten by all. And this is where we see the heart of Ida. She acts like Miss Perfect and lets people hear what they want to hear, but that's the thing. She does it partially because people need that. It helps keep them going, even if it is a performance. Ida runs to Acro Silky and holds her, hugs her, tells her as her daughter that it meant something in the end, that everything she did meant something, and that it made her happy. Acro Silky stops, remembers her daughter, and holds Ida in her arms. The yokai finds her soul and looks off to the stars as she did in life, the distant comfort of a better place, as Ida wishes that she and her daughter could travel there, to somewhere better, to a kinder world. Like the stars litter the night sky, Acro Silky breaks apart, scattering into dust, drifting away, as Ida swears that she'll never forget. After so long, she finally sees her. She will remember her. Always.